just gonna. Alright, video, let's snap squat lobster.
Yep.
There we go.
So here's a squat lobster. We see quite a few of these when we're diving this deep.
We've got you at 90 degrees.
Copy that. Alright, watch it. Anything else here?
Nope, that's okay. Thank you.
Alright.
It's good.
Thanks, video. And we're moving
So
on.
the stalked sponge is a euplectillid, similar to the ones that we are seeing that are vase-shaped.
I'm gonna get my lasers back on, co-pilot.
Yes, copy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bridge.
There is something ahead. Not sure if that is also
Pilot move is complete.
Copy nav.
would fall. Or it's maybe a fish. This looks like a fish. Oh no, it's woodfall.
Snap it, please, video.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
The fog light's still on, by the way.
So you also see a couple squat lobsters hanging off of this woodfall.
I guess you can turn them off in this video once I'm on.
Up, one swimming away.
Copy that. Do you want any zooms on this?
Sure, if you can.
Copy. Dead center video. Snap it.
See the other woodfall, we saw a lot of small crustaceans, possibly isopods or amphipods. This looks actually relatively clean.
Copy.
With just a couple
Kinda
squat
far.
lobsters. There's some white
Just kind of pan
kind
it.
of polyps hanging off. Yeah, this looks relatively cleaner than what we saw in the beginning of our dive.
All right, watch it. Anything specific, or are you good with that?
No, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Great. All right, video, you can come wide.
Ready for me to kill fog lights video? What's that? Oh, your mic's up here.
Yeah, go ahead and kill the fog lights.
Copy.
Video's probably been politely asking you to kill him for a while now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But
Stacy, I keep seeing these star-like indentations in the seafloor. What would cause that?
Steve mentioned that it could be caused from a spoonworm that has a spatula-like appendage that can scoop. Many times they're in their burrows and we don't see them out in the open.
I think I'm coming to the end of my swing here, too. Still at 90, though.
Copy.
Well, I'm right over you, and I'm getting pings at 96.
Looks like a lot of sargassum debris.
There, nope.
Up
48.
there's something.
What would it take to cycle it properly? Just the relay, or?
I tried the relay a couple times.
Yeah.
So right now we are coming close
You can
to
note it in the
being
nav if you did it.
Yeah, I did.
Copy.
Well, I noted it in this.
at 1,000.
Oh,
Not
sorry.
sure.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Breaking the 1,600 meters. Right now we're at 1,718 meters. Slowly climbing this steep terrain.
How do you feel like getting another move in there? Starting to steepen up.
Oxygen is still a little bit lower
But I'm
than
done moving.
when we started during the dive. It's at
Push out a bit.
4.7.
Like south. Yeah, some substrate up ahead.
What's that? Looks like there might be some form of a
Video, can you
indent or
lighten it real
cannon.
quick? I just want to make sure there's no obstructions off. Yeah, that's good. You can bring it back to normal. Looks like we're in a little saddle here.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah.
Again, you know.
We'll just travel kind of on the highs next to it.
Okay.
So those who are listening in, we are exploring north of Buck Island, within the
So
Buck
let's
Island Reef National Monument.
It's been holding the same, between about 5,000. It's bouncing between 6 and 4, so average it. Yeah, you're getting far enough out there for a move now.
Yeah. Do you want to cheat?
One, like 200?
Like 200?
Yeah, it feels a bit, well, actually maybe even a little bit more. Let me see what it is.
Let's see.
My sonar's not picking up a whole lot either. Maybe 205?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that then. If you're comfortable.
So it looks like there's
Yeah,
we've
nav.
reached the top of a
30
little
30
local
meters, 205.
high here.
Copy
Decimal
that.
2.
I can see some hard substrate in the distance, but it still seems fairly uniform. Bottom, not a lot of evidence of slumping or movement of the sediments here.
This is ROV nav. We'd like to request a ship move. Range 30 meters, bearing 205, speed decimal 2 knots. Good copy. Thank you, Bridge.
So for the next, oh, looks like a swimming sea cucumber there. Just swam through the screen. For the next little while, we're going to be continuing up this slope. We started out today at a depth of about 1,800 meters, and we're right now at 1,712 meters. The planned dive today was for the northern edge, the northern boundary of the Buck Island Reef National Monument.
Which is a holothorium.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we started just outside the monument today, crossing into the boundaries of the monument, upslope towards the south. And if any of the science party ashore is watching, we are about halfway, maybe a third of the way past waypoint 2 towards waypoint 3. It seems on whichever feature we're on right now, it seems to be a little bit more exposed hard substrate on the sides of this small local ridge.
See anything, video?
Not really.
Anything noteworthy?
In the seafloor, we see plenty of evidence of life, tracks and burrows, the occasional sea cucumber or sea urchin. A number of star-shaped patterns have been observed in this on top of the seafloor sediments that are suspected to be echiurine burrows or spoonworm burrows. No evidence that of those organisms has physically been seen yet. Can we look off to the left, pilot? I think I see a couple structures there that may be of interest.
Yeah, copy that. I'm just going to look up real quick to make sure there's no obstructions that could potentially get in our way. I think we're good. I'm going to drop for a moment, co-pilot.
Copy.
Potentially two things here of interest. Interesting. So I can see 2 corals here on this very limited hard substrate, possibly a sponge. So 3 things of interest. On the right-hand side of the screen, pilots, I'll let you choose whichever one you want to image first.
Copy that. Let's do the closest. All right, video. Go ahead, come in.
So, looks like what we're looking at right now is a black coral colony. We're looking for tissue. Under the tissue is the black skeleton, and I actually see a polychaete, a purple or dark colored polychaete on one of the branches. This is a type of marine worm. And this coral appears to be in the genus Bathypathes, which is characteristic of deep sea environments at this depth. Any better imagery on the worm there, pilot?
Yeah, we can center on it. All right, video. I'll center. And then you take what you want. If we have more zoom.
That's max zoom.
Copy that. I can get closer. You want to come partial?
So we have our lasers on as well to approximate the size.
That video. We come back in. It's a little bit closer. It's kind of.
He's obscured by the colony.
Copy.
The best shot is to the right.
To the right. Yeah, I can't. There's a hill there. Can't quite. Do you want to snap it real quick? Might come out. No. You can come out.
If it's not possible.
Yeah, he's just kind of hidden in there.
Okay. We'll get some images of the colony and then proceed to the other.
Copy. Video. What more do you want on subject at
Copy.
center?
Thank you, Bridge.
Why don't we lose the lasers?
Copy.
Copy.
Go for a whole colony shot.
Ship move is complete.
Great. Next snap.
So we do have some scientists ashore that are able to help us and provide some extra information about this black coral, possibly even identifying it to a species level, but we'll give them some time.
All right, we'll let them going in for an ID.
Copy that.
So now we're getting a very good close-up of the tentacles, and the mouths are more or less along the branches right here. And the tentacles are actually what we see. These aren't the polyps. So the mouth, or the part of the polyp that is shorter than the tentacles, that's the mouth. This one actually, it's very easy to see. Sometimes it's not as easy to see. Excellent.
All right, pilot.
All right.
Coming out.
All right, watch it. Are you ready for us to move to the next one?
Yeah, let's move to the left.
Copy
There's
that.
another type of black coral, I suspect.
We got lasers back on. It's gonna shimmy over. Down.
So we have a twofer here, right on this rock. Obviously, these corals really like this hard substrate. It's preferable. we don't see them on the soft sediment. So any hard substrate, and we're going to have we're going to have some colonization here.
See if it come in.
So I do know this
Kill
one.
lasers, co-pilot.
This is
Thank you.
heteropathes. And specifically, it looks or very closely resembles Heteropathes americana, which has been imaged, and I don't know if it's been collected from this area. I suspect it's been collected from outside of this area in the Atlantic, but it's definitely something we've seen before and can potentially identify to the species level already. But it is another type of black coral. Again, you can see the black skeleton fairly well through the tissue. The arrangement of the branches is a little bit different here.
See, the current's kind of picked up a little bit.
Yeah, wow, it's a decent amount of current. You can see the polyps on the black coral. So you can see the mouth parts rather well. They're the darker portions in the middle of the tentacles.
We have a shrimp at the base.
Copy that.
Yeah, so excellent.
We'll snap on shrimp, and then we'll move on.
So this particular species has been collected from the Gulf of Mexico and in the Pacific by this ship. So we're just going to get some good images for documentation and move on.
All right, video, you happy with that?
Yep, we're coming out.
Great. All right, watch lead. Anything else here?
Can we just
There.
tilt down and
Right there.
image that sponge? Yeah, I can't tell if it's very much
All
alive,
right,
but
video. Let's do it.
one of the larger individuals we've seen. It looks alive. Looks to me like it could be a demo sponge. Possibly Geodia. Thanks to our scientists ashore.
Then let's get lasers on it after this.
Copy that.
You want to check the other one underneath
All right,
the shelf?
thanks. We're all set back here.
Sure, we'll snap it real quick, and then we'll get lasers, and we'll move on.
Looks like there might be another type of glass sponge in there, a very tiny one.
Do you want to try fog lights real quick?
Sure. That'll do it.
All right.
Nice.
That does it.
Looks like there might be some, can't tell if that's a worm or a worm tube in the background on the rock. I'm going to guess it's some type of serpulid worm tube. It doesn't look to be connected to the sponge, but the one on the right
Okay.
looks
I'm
very
coming out.
similar.
Great.
Get the lasers.
Yep.
Got
Got it.
fog lights off.
Yeah, you can kill him. Lasers on it. All right, come wide video. And we're moving on.
So that's a great example of how deep water sessile organisms really take advantage of the hard substrate here. As we said, it's one of the more substantial spots of hard bottom. Something appears to be on a stalk up ahead, possibly a sponge. We might want to get a snap zoom on that.
Yeah, copy that. Make my way. Just gonna swing my butt out real quick video so I don't hit behind me.
So we're just setting up to get a better image on this stalked sponge. We have some hypotheses about what the identification could be already.
Sorry, video, the dust should pass in a second. Alright, you wanna go to zoom?
Interestingly, you usually see these sponges with the zoanthids or anemones on the stalk, but this one for sure looks like a glass sponge.
Sorry, video, can you partial real quick?
You can see at least one polychaete worm associate on the inside of it, but very tiny. Perhaps only a centimeter or two.
Give me one more second.
So this could be either a euplectellid sponge or a hyalinomatid.
Alright, video, you can go back in.
Excellent. Thanks, pilot.
Alright, you're happy with that, Watcher? Alright, video, whatever you left of this you want, and then we'll move on.
Okay, come in wide.
All set back here. Yep.
Great, thanks. Alright, lasers on the base, looks good. Alright, coming up.
How are you doing, Sean?
Good? All's going well?
Good.
How are you?
Great.
Nice. Ship stopped. We stopped for a little bit to zoom on things. Current picked up slightly, but it's still not bad.
Okay.
And yeah, going upslope, no samples. A lot of sediment.
What was the last direction of movement?
I think 205, because there was a valley we wanted to avoid. So we're kind of riding like a little
Local high.
Yeah, but we can probably switch back to south at this point.
Okay.
I think that's what I'm looking at right now.
I can turn back south here.
Yeah, you can do that.
So we're just approaching the 1,700 meter isobath here. We had just seen probably some of the more substantial coral fauna that we've seen on the dive so far. Temperature right at this isobath is around 4.25 degrees C. Oxygen around 4.7 milliliters per liter. For anyone just tuning in, this is our third dive, dive 3 of the expedition. We started on the 30th of October, exploring deep water habitats around Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, parts of the U.S. Caribbean. We're specifically interested in identifying, generally, deep sea habitats, including deep sea coral habitats, sponges, habitats that are utilized by deep water fishes, both for commercial and other purposes. Over the next couple weeks and the past few days, we've been exploring deep water fish habitat, submarine canyons, slopes, seamounts, and escarpments. Later on in the expedition, we'll be doing some work near the Puerto Rico Trench, both exploring the underlying geology as well as some organisms in the midwater. Over the course of this expedition, we'll be collecting a lot of data, from environmental data to video and photographic data, as well as potentially sample collections of rare or representative fauna from every area we visit. A lot of the data we're going to collect will support management and science priorities for this area, as a lot of deep water habitats in this part of the Caribbean and Atlantic are very, very poorly explored. Today we're specifically at Buck Island Reef National Monument, which is on the northeast corner of St. Croix.
So there's a little current from the starboard, I hear.
This is a protected area.
Sonars look pretty clear.
And we will be conducting some of the first deep water surveys in this protected area, likely to be among the deepest as well. Our objective today is general exploration, exploring for deep water corals and sponges, as well as fishes.
What else do we have? All the comps are 50.
Yesterday we had a rather exciting dive looking at deep water fish habitats.
Ground faults are all good.
Just south of St. Thomas.
Swing arms are out. Hydraulics are off.
Over the next couple days, we'll be in this general vicinity around St. Croix and Saba Bank, looking at deep water habitats at a variety of depths.
My laser button doesn't work either.
Yeah, I didn't think it worked yesterday, and people kept telling me it worked.
I got it to work one day.
So we are continuing our upslope track. We've made about 100 and a little bit over 100 meters now of vertical distance.
Maybe we should get a move.
Horizontally, we've made quite a bit more.
Come down to the bottom and see if there's anything interesting.
So far, it's been fairly uniform, sedimented, although steeply sloped in this particular area, with occasional outcroppings of rock that, as we saw a few moments ago, are fairly well colonized with attached fauna, from polychaete worms to sponges to corals in some cases.
All of them
190.
have been around, the last one was 205, one before that was 190, 30 meters every single one. Are you comfortable with maybe 30 meters at 200? Or
Let's go 180.
180?
Okay. What do you think, Kyle?
Sure.
Buenas tardes a todos. Está escuchando Okeanos Explorer. Estamos explorando
Sounds good.
el punto más profundo en el Monumento Nacional de Buck Island, Reef.
Coming up.
Los objetivos de hoy es para explorar y caracterizar las comunidades
This is nav.
que viven en el fondo, como corales y esponjas,
To request a move, please.
y también
Gonna be range 30 meters, bearing
caracterizar
10
a
degrees,
los
speed
peces.
0.2 knots.
Y vimos corales negros y también un coral blando, bamboo coral, se llama coral bambú. Y vimos muchos
Afternoon video.
equinodermos
Good afternoon.
como pepinos del mar
I'll try to find you something
y
here.
un erizo.
Thank you.
My laser light came on.
So since we just passed the 12 o'clock hour, we're about halfway through our dive right now in terms of time.
The light comes on and off.
My name is Steve Oskovich. I'm one of the science co-leads on this particular expedition.
Levi, you were sitting here.
I'm a PhD candidate at Temple University in the Department of Biology, and I study deep water corals and their ecology and their biogeography. Next to me, I have...
Hi, I'm Stacy Williams. I'm the other science co-lead. I'm a coral reef ecologist. I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit institute called the Institute for
right there.
Socio-Ecological Research,
Right there,
and
we
also
point
for
selected
a
all
for-profit
flights,
called
selected
Coastal
for
Survey
declaration of
Solutions,
the
both based in Puerto Rico. I mostly study shallow water reef systems and mesophotic reefs. However, in the past couple of years, I've helped out with some AUV and RUV work on the west coast of Puerto Rico.
Pilot, this is Watch Lead.
Go ahead, watch lead.
If you are interested, would you like to do a row of introductions for the front?
Yes, we'll do that now. Okay, we just did a shift change in the front row. I'm the ROV pilot, piloting Deep Discoverer. I'm Carl McCletchy. On my left is...
I am Fernando Aragon, sitting as navigator.
And to the pilot's right, sitting co-pilot, Levi Unima.
And on the far right in video, Bob Knott.
And in the back in the video clipping chair, I'm Emily Narrow.
And we are all engineers with the Global Foundation for Ocean Exploration, GFOE, a partner with OER and NOAA. Hope everyone enjoys the dive.
So we've had a great couple series of dives so far. We're on dive 3 of this expedition, where we expect to accomplish at least 20 dives.
So Nav, what do we think the delay will be? A couple minutes at this depth?
Yeah, I don't have any notes, so I'll just try to keep track, but yeah.
Okay.
I imagine.
Yeah, we're not too deep. But
1700.
The general plan for this expedition will take us generally around Puerto Rico in a clockwise fashion. We left the port of San Juan on the 30th of October. We're now in the U.S. Virgin Islands for at least the next 2 or 3 days. We'll then proceed along the south coast of Puerto Rico, working and mapping, filling in gaps with our multi-beam sonar map, and diving at a few particularly interesting locations that were identified by our scientific community.
yeah, let's try this.
Then proceeding through the Mona Passage, spending about a week working on deep water fish habitats in the Mona Passage, potentially some deep water coral habitats as well. And then proceeding along the north coast of the island back towards San Juan, where we'll be working on the boundaries of the Puerto Rico Trench, doing some work on the geological underpinnings of the region, as well as some work on midwater organisms. Speaking of midwater organisms, seems to have a shrimp
Bouncy.
fairly high up off the bottom here.
Okay, let's let him go. Coming back to center, co-pilot.
That.
How's the shilling look for the drawer? Looks pretty clear.
As we mentioned a little bit earlier, waters in the Western Atlantic, this part of the Western Atlantic and Caribbean are among the most poorly explored U.S. waters in the Atlantic. In this particular area, only a handful of dives
How long has that moved
in the
been
past
complete
half
now?
century or so have occurred,
It's been
in
about
this area,
12 minutes. We've
and
covered,
very few of them
27
proceeding
out of
below
the 30
300
I
meters.
see it's
Almost
still
done.
going. Yep.
Yep. Should be almost done.
Gotcha. So Sear should have a couple more minutes of
The
movement.
ability to bring resources like
So
the
you-
Okeanos
since
Explorer
we're
and
not
Deep
seeing
Discovery
anything,
to
do
this
you
area
just want me to call it
greatly
right after the other
greatly
one?
influences
We see
the rate of scientific discovery, as well as
you
Yeah.
wanna give a little, maybe 1 minute
observations
pause,
Yeah,
of
I can-
unknown habitats and
I think a pause
unknown
is good so you don't build up.
deep water geology in the area.
All right.
It seems like we're well on our way to waypoint 4, right?
Copy bridge. Thank you. All right. I'll call another move in about a minute.
Sonars are clear.
I think some of these things we're seeing start to be turning into mirages, and I think we see something, but it's just more sand.
It's moving fast. Copilot, we get lasers.
It also looks like a mysid shrimp.
Oh, we lost him. Okay, you can go wide.
Un camarón.
Pilot, do you have a good estimate for current in this area?
Yes, it's coming from starboard to port, so west to east, and you can feel it, but it's light. I would just say, I don't know, 0.2 knots, 0.3 knots.
Excellent, thank you.
If you've noticed, all the shrimp pass by me going right to left.
Right, yeah.
Okay, co-pilot, do you feel good for another move?
Yeah. Yep.
180.
Yeah.
Bridge, this nav. Let's repeat that last move. 30 meters, bearing 180, speed 0.2.
Thank you, Bridge.
So did we change anything to get the Sirius heading back in? Was it just restarting HiPAC?
Yeah, it must have just been restarting HiPAC, I think, because all I did was...
Just turned it on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at the settings, hardware settings this morning, and it was all normal. I didn't do anything. Or last night, I mean, when I set it up.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it has to do with what you did to the Moxa last night. Because it comes out of there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we just power cycled the Maxa yesterday.
That fixed it.
I think
Para todos están escuchando, a la profundidad es 1694 metros. La temperatura es 4.2 de grados.
Oh, so it had changed numbers. That's changed.
No, I think what
ports.
happened is so port 2 out of the Moxa is supposed to go into the buffer box, but for some reason it's not getting there. So maybe a cable got disconnected, maybe a cable went bad in dry dock, something happened. But yeah, so
You just ran a new one?
yep, pretty much. Well, we're running it straight into the computer that we're logging things on.
So as many of you have been seeing, there's many shapes in the sediment, and some of these look star-like. These could be spoonworms. Others could be tracks from sea urchins or holothurians, sea cucumbers. We've seen some fish earlier in the dive. Quite a few sea cucumbers.
Coming up center.
Yeah. Do you want to do a quick zoom from here?
There's something,
the way we're
black
going.
in the.
Shrimp.
This looks like another shrimp.
Okay. Have we seen this one yet today?
I think we did briefly at the beginning of the dive. The Aristed shrimp?
It's the one that swam off quickly.
Yeah, I think it's an Aristed shrimp.
Okay, go wide video. Once you have your shot, I know I'm really far away. It's not in the direction of travel.
Yeah, some fresher looking Echiurine traces I noticed in this area. We would expect that as we move shallower that we would see more life.
So Dan said this morning that auto heading is working fine, but I don't see it lit on the joy box, or is it?
It only lights if you're using it.
Oh, you're not using it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like to use it because then you overshoot, I feel like.
But then it lights up, I can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, an auto, what is it, depth and then altitude. Yeah, that one worked too.
Okay, so it's just joy lock.
Which is strange. I guess it could just be a broken button, huh?
I don't think so. I looked at the signals coming out of the joy box, and I can...
Oh.
It was kind of hard because I was talking to Dan and I didn't see him press, but I think when he was pressing it, I could see it there. But I just don't understand where the signal is getting lost if we haven't changed anything.
Para todos están escuchando en Puerto Rico, saludos, especialmente en el ecoexploratorio.
Yep.
Buenas tardes. Estamos en el Monumento Nacional de Buck Island Reef. Y el objetivo de hoy es para explorar este área porque no hay otros datos de profundidad en este área.
Yeah, I'll just jump ahead. We haven't
Existe.
seen much.
Something else.
So es la primera vez
Okay.
We only have a quick shot
Would
at
you like to
them.
go in?
alguien está buceando en este lugar.
Larvation house.
I think this might be some detritus of some type, possibly a larvacean housing.
Yep.
I don't see anything living in there, so it doesn't look to be occupied.
Okay, go wide.
The larvaceans are a type of non-vertebrate chordate organism that lives in the midwater. They secrete a bubble of mucus, a house, sometimes it's called, which they use to capture particles in the water column and ingest them. And then they'll regularly shed their mucus house a few times a day.
Another one. Something else.
Oh yeah,
Polychaete.
you can go in.
Oh, here's another sea
Polytherian.
cucumber.
Yeah.
Polytherian.
Very fast.
We've seen a lot of those on our dive. Fue un pepino de mar.
Video, are you wide?
Yes. I just went in a little bit to lose the skid.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Looks good. Yeah, if I face up current here to the west, you can see everything coming at me.
So this dive, when we planned it yesterday, it looked quite steep the entire way, and it is quite steep, but the entirety of it seems very heavily sedimented. can see a lot of suspended material in the water column as well.
There's something.
There's
Like going on
something,
that video?
yeah, right to the.
Looks like an isopod. I forgot the name of them, but
Okay, looks like another sea cucumber.
it's a
up
type
there.
of isopod.
Oh,
Oh,
Jelly.
no,
Jelly. Nice.
this
Looks
is
like
a
a
jelly.
Medusa. Yeah.
Coming down with it.
Usually these organisms are so small that you need a microscope
I'm gonna nudge you
to see them.
close, girl.
But with these high resolution cameras, we have the capability of getting really nice
Copy bridge.
photos.
Yeah, very interesting. I've never seen a Medusa like that with so many tentacles before.
Yeah.
And they seem to be projecting from all directions
Okay.
on the lower edge of the bell.
A little more time if you want to zoom.
Wonder if this falls into the category of the Narcomedusae. A small midwater Medusa.
All right, we can let it go.
There, right?
Okay, gonna call the next move in.
Yeah. Ready?
Yep.
Bridge this now. Let's repeat the last move. It's gonna be 30
And
meters,
what is that?
bearing 180, speed 0.2.
Looks like maybe a fish
LSR.
in the
Yeah,
middle of the
okay.
screen.
I'll just head down towards it. I think we've seen it already.
Yep. Probably keep just above it.
Copilot, our lasers on.
There we go.
Okay, watch lead. Have we seen this fish already?
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so. Can we just
Okay.
get a quick snap zoom
Yeah,
though?
let's just go in here for lasers, full body.
Just to confirm, because we're specifically interested in the head regions because of the scaling on the heads.
Okay, was that enough for an ID?
Yeah, I think that'll suffice. Thank you.
Okay.
I saw something back. What's that right to the right?
Ah, here's something.
Well, if we want to look at this,
Oh,
I
wow.
should go in
Okay.
closer. This was just a quick zoom.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we can generally identify it.
Okay.
It's a sea pen.
Let's go wide video.
A sea pen in the genus Umbellula. And it's fairly common on sedimented
Will you,
areas
pause, zoomed out for
in the deep
the
sea.
video so I can adjust the camera. Thank you. Just my only reference. All
It's
right,
been a while since
all clear.
we saw. We haven't seen any on this expedition, but I thought I would have seen more on this margin, perhaps.
We saw one earlier, a
Okay.
sea pen, yeah. But we haven't seen as many as I would think,
Oh.
given the.
Even Umbellula can live in some fairly steep sloped environments, but you know, from this height, it seems sometimes some things are difficult to discern from
Is
the
that another fish?
or contrast with the background.
Yeah.
I think so. I'll head
Yeah.
down to it.
We've gotten a number of images of the tripod fish already.
Okay. Keep going.
I think Sirius is done with its move.
Sirius is what?
I think Sirius might be done moving.
I just called in a move.
Oh, you
so
just called in.
yeah,
Okay.
we're the ship's currently moving.
Okay.
So what speed do we have to average to make it to waypoint 4?
Get back to you in 1 second.
So this is heading 180. Uphill is definitely more.
Yeah. The sea spider.
Oh yeah. Try to back away. All right.
So
You
this
can
is
zoom
that
if you zoom if you can get him into
that
focus.
mid-water isopod I was mentioning earlier.
Huh. It's not a, like, doesn't have a body form as a normal isopod.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, that's right.
0.09.
Oh really? That fast?
Yeah. We're about 500 meters away.
Oh okay. Wow.
But then,
Yeah, I've seen these quite a bit. They have extremely long appendages.
Okay, we'll let
It looks like
go.
it's maybe feeding on something or foraging on
Yeah.
something.
Okay, full wide video.
I don't think we have very good image of a lot of these mid-water organisms. So, you know, now that there's not a lot of interesting,
All right,
well,
you're free to zoom.
there's not a lot of complexity in the benthos. We can spend some time looking up at what's in the just off the bottom.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of action in the midwater.
Mhm.
Yeah, for the next move, let's turn uphill.
Okay.
Probably more like 200 or 220.
Sounds good. Yeah, it seems like kind of sliding off the.
Looks like maybe another
Quick
sea
zoom here.
cucumber. Yep, you can see the intestines of the sea
Okay.
cucumber, the tentacles. There's something in the middle of this screen. Maybe that's another maybe glass sponge.
I think it might be they all seem to be about the same size, this euplectellid
That's-
sponge. I know they can grow much taller, but these seem stunted in some way. Or
We saw a
recently.
stalked one
the
earlier.
ship
Oh, yeah?
is
Yeah.
coming up right now.
Oh, from the second move. Okay.
Yep.
Good. I'm getting a little behind, so we'll let it settle out.
Copy.
So we could add like 15, maybe, or 10, even 10. I don't know, because 10 minutes late isn't that big a deal, I guess.
So this is another glass sponge that we've been seeing.
You can double check with
It's
Chris.
pretty common during this dive.
Okay, video, free to zoom.
With a
Pilot, will you
shrimp.
get lasers off?
Edges off.
Thank you. Coming back to port.
Normally the shrimp are inside the sponge. Have you seen any with the shrimp?
No,
inside?
actually, no. they've always kind of been on the base, at the base during this dive. And we're seeing quite a few, shrimp on this dive.
Yeah.
More so than maybe yesterday.
Yeah, I wonder if that has anything to do with the lack of predators in this area.
Yeah.
Okay, we can come out to the whole specimen.
So yeah, this species, or this family at least, has some representatives where shrimps can live inside the sponge.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at the top of the sponge, sometimes they have a mesh over the top that effectively traps the shrimps for life inside the sponge.
Ah.
They're able to feed off of the detritus and matter that the sponge filters, but they're effectively stuck.
Think I'm done moving.
Are there any predators of glass sponges that you know of, or?
Not certain, but I know the sedarid urchins we've seen have been observed on type glass sponges like this.
Okay, are you happy, video?
Yes.
So
Copy,
whether
Brent.
they're
Thank
feeding or something else,
Go wide.
could be multiple reasons why they use that habitat.
Yeah, let's pick a more uphill direction. Hmm. 200, do you think?
Yeah.
That seems better.
You could see the track of something.
Off to the left side there?
Yeah, left side.
Quick zoom here, video.
Oh,
It's not the track of the sponge.
no, it's the track of this sponge. Nope.
Okay, you can come wide.
Again, some sargassum.
It did look like that track led to the
Yeah.
sponge, but no. It's likely something else. Difficult to say how old some of these tracks are. The sedimentation rate here is extremely slow, as is typical from low latitude seas far from the continent.
Looks dead center, possible coral.
Okay. Oh, it looks similar to what we saw before.
Right. Snap.
Sure, we'll do a snap. If they'd like it, I can set down.
Stalked.
Up,
Yeah.
here's another sea pen.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a better image.
Está mirando una pluma de mar. Es un coral blando.
Okay, pilot.
Yeah, good with that.
This particular species or genus is fairly common from even the deepest parts. Well, I wouldn't say common.
So
They
we've
can
been
be
stopped
quite
for a bit,
sparse,
right?
but
Yeah.
So
it's
we can call
one
in
of the
the
more
next move at
characteristic
200.
Yep.
genera that you
Ready.
find in
Yeah, let's do
very deep water. They've been observed down to several thousand meters.
Bridge, this is nav.
How shallow can you find them?
I might have that information for you.
We're seeing some kind of